Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different.
Yeah.
We aren't just analyzing a text, we're kind of stepping into a time machine. I want to transport you to a very specific moment. The date is January 31st, 2026.
It's a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And based on the source material we're looking at today, the vibe is intense.
Intense is one word for it. Electric might be another.
Right.
We are looking at a reflection by Pastor Huzi Kang, which is grounded in Warren Wiersbe's teachings on the book of James. But before we get to the theology, we really have to set the scene.
Okay.
Pastor Hu paints this picture of the world, specifically the financial and tech sectors in Taiwan, at this exact moment, and apparently things are booming.
It's a fascinating context. The source explicitly says that the stock markets are just breaking records left and right. There's this sense of overflowing prosperity. He talks about the kids, the young professionals in finance and tech, and they're all pulling in these massive year-end bonuses.
It's that feeling of invincibility, right? You walk into the office, high fives all around, maybe some champagne corks are popping.
Totally.
The portfolio is up, the bonus check just cleared. It sounds like the absolute dream scenario. You can almost smell the money.
On the surface, yeah, absolutely. It's a time of celebration. But this is where the source just pulls the rug out from under us.
Okay.
Amidst all this economic winning, Pastor Hume asks a question that is honestly a little uncomfortable. He looks at all this external growth, the bank accounts going up, careers advancing, the calendar pages turning, and he asks, is your maturity keeping up with your age?
Ooh, that's the twist.
Yeah.
It's the classic rich in the world, poor in spirit dynamic, but framed in this very modern 2026 context. It's like you have the corner office, but do you have the character to match it?
Exactly. He's identifying a decoupling.
Yeah.
We tend to think that as we get older, as we get more successful, we automatically become better people.
Yeah.
Wiser, more mature.
Right. It should just happen naturally.
But the core argument here is that aging is automatic, maturing is manual.
I love that distinction. Aging is automatic, maturing is manual. So our mission today is to unpack this reflection. 2026, 131 reflection on James.
Let's do it.
We're going to explore this tension between external success and internal stagnation. We've got a heavyweight theological boxing match between faith and works. We have some genuinely funny but stinging metaphors about spiritual giant babies. And we need to figure out how to navigate what the source calls the 2 new years.
And that concept, the 2 new years, is actually critical to understanding the pressure cooker these people are in.
Let's start right there then. The 2 new years. For a global listener, this might sound a little confusing. January 1st is New Year's Day, so what's the second one?
So this is set in Taiwan. So you have the Gregorian calendar New Year, January 1st, which in this timeline has already passed.
Okay.
But then you have the Lunar New Year, which is this massive cultural celebration, and it's coming up right after January 31st.
So it's this unique chronological limbo. You've technically started the year, but the real party hasn't happened yet.
Precisely. And it creates this double energy. You have the year-end reflection from the calendar year combined with all the anticipation for the Lunar Festival.
And in this 2026 scenario, it's just filled with extreme economic activity.
Right. The source highlights that people are busy. They are rushing to finish projects, hitting sales targets, collecting those fat bonuses we talked about.
It's a pressure cooker. And I think that's why this message hits so hard. When you're that busy and that successful, it is so easy to let the internal stuff just slide.
You're just trying to get to the holiday.
Exactly.
The source calls it the fallacy of automatic growth. Pastor Hugh points out that, the volume of your life increases naturally. You're going to meet more people just by living longer. You're going to experience more things just by existing.
But spiritual character.
That does not operate on autopilot.
It's frightening to think you could be a CEO in 2026, managing billions of dollars, but spiritually, you haven't aged a day since, 2006.
That is the central warning. External wealth is not a mirror for internal health. You can be an economic giant and a spiritual infant. And to explain how to fix this, the source dives into one of the oldest and, frankly, most controversial debates in Christian history.
The Battle of the Apostles. Paul versus James.
It really is framed as a conflict in a lot of people's minds. On one side, you've got the Apostle Paul, particularly in the book of Romans. Paul is the champion of justification by faith.
And let's just define that really clearly for everyone. Justification by faith, this is the soulified concept, right?
Right. The idea that you cannot earn your way to God. You become a child of God, you are saved, purely through believing. It's about your internal posture, your trust, your desire to know the divine.
So it's a gift, not a wage.
Exactly.
Okay, so Paul says it's about what you believe, not what you do. It's an internal state. But then James walks into the room.
And James kind of flips the script. In the book of James, the emphasis is so heavily on justification by works or deeds. James is the one who famously writes, "Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by my deeds."
It really does sound contradictory on the surface. One guy says, it's only faith. The other says, prove it with your actions. Historically, didn't this drive some theologians kind of crazy?
It drove Martin Luther, the great reformer, absolutely up the wall.
Really?
Yeah, the source actually mentions this. Luther was so committed to Paul's message of grace that he really struggled with James. He once called the book of James an epistle of straw because he felt it lacked the substance of the gospel.
He thought it put too much burden back on human effort.
Exactly, like it was dragging people back to a checklist of rules, do this, do that.
Right.
But our source, relying on Wiersbe's analysis, argues that we don't have to pick a side. In fact, picking a side is the dangerous part. He uses a metaphor that I think just perfectly synthesizes the two views.
Okay.
He calls them the two wings.
I like this imagery. It's simple. A bird can't fly with one wing.
It's that simple. The believer is the bird. To get off the ground, to have a living, moving spirituality, you need the wing of faith and the wing of works. If you try to operate on just one, you don't fly, you just crash.
Or you just spin around in circles on the ground.
Right.
So it's not either, it's both hand. But let's play devil's advocate here for a second. What does it actually look like when someone tries to fly with just one wing? Let's start with faith without works.
The source uses a really poetic but damning description for this.
Yeah.
He compares faith without works to ocean waves.
Ocean waves.
Yeah, think about a wave. It's loud, it's visible, it crashes and makes this big splash.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, it's just water moving. It's hollow.
Huh.
The source suggests that a faith that talks big, I believe, but has no tangible impact on how you treat people is just empty motion. It's noise without substance.
Ouch. So it's all splash and no depth. Okay, flip it over. What about works without faith? This one seems trickier because, isn't doing good things always good? If I donate to charity, does it matter if I have faith?
This is where the source gets really nuanced. He calls this self-centered philanthropy.
That sounds like an oxymoron. Self-centered philanthropy. How can charity be self-centered?
Well, follow the logic here. If you're doing good deeds, giving money, volunteering, helping civic groups, those are objectively good actions for society. Nobody is denying that.
Sure.
But the source asks, why are you doing it?
Motivation. It's always about the motivation.
Right. If the connection to the divine is missing, if there is no vertical relationship, then the horizontal good deed often becomes a tool for self-aggrandizement. You're doing it for the plaque on the wall. You're doing it so people think you're a good guy.
Oh, so it becomes PR. It's reputation management, not spiritual service. You're basically just buying goodwill.
Exactly. The source argues that while this might build your social standing or your merit in the eyes of the community, it doesn't build the kingdom. It's ultimately about your glory, not God's. It's hollow in a different way.
That is a sharp critique, especially in the context of this 2026 boom where everyone is rich and probably looking for ways to look benevolent. Look at my huge donation. Right.
That leads us directly to the people who are stuck in this imbalance. The source uses two metaphors here that are just fantastic. The first one is the spiritual giant baby.
I have to say, this image stuck with me the most. A spiritual giant baby. It's terrifying.
It's vivid, isn't it?
I'm just picturing a guy in a tailored suit, holding his 2026 tech bonus, sitting in a massive high chair.
That is essentially what Pastor Hugh is describing. He defines a spiritual giant baby as someone who has been a Christian for years, maybe decades. By the calendar, they are adults. They should be mature, they should be teachers by now.
But spiritually,
they're still drinking milk.
And drinking milk in this context creates this very specific image of passivity.
Total passivity. They are consumers. Think about a baby. A baby cries and it gets fed. A baby doesn't cook. A baby doesn't farm.
It just consumes.
Right. The giant baby, Christian, goes to church, sits in the pew, or the chair, as the source puts it, listens to the sermon, nods along, says, wow, that was a nice speech, and then just goes home.
They treat the sermon like a TED Talk. It's content to be consumed. Oh, that was insightful. I feel a little better.
Precisely. They consume the content, but they don't cook the meal. The source notes that the impact of the message on their actual life is almost zero. because they aren't doing anything with it.
They're being fed, but they aren't exercising. And if you eat without exercising, what happens?
You get unhealthy pretty fast. You get lethargic. You lose muscle mass.
Exactly. And this lethargy leads to the second metaphor, which is updated so perfectly for the digital age, the login Christian.
This one hit a little too close to home for me. We all have those accounts, right?
Oh, yeah. It's the subscription model of faith. The source talks about people who have a membership login to Christianity. They have the ID card. Their name is on the roll at the church. They have the username and password.
It's like having a Netflix account you pay for but never watch.
Or even better, a gym membership. You have the key fob on your keychain. You tell people, yeah, I belong to that gym, but do you go, no?
That's the distinction. Identity versus participation. You have the sense of presence. You're technically in the system, but you are not online. You aren't executing the program. The source argues that having the credentials means nothing if you aren't logging in and engaging with the interface of your faith.
It's the difference between being a registered user and an active user. The metrics are totally different. So we have giant babies and logged out users. Both of them are characterized by passivity. They have the faith wing, or at least the label of it, but the works wing is atrophied. So how do we fix it? How do we stop being babies?
The source uses military language here to describe the transition. The goal is to move from baby to soldier.
That's a big jump from a crib to a trench.
It is, but think about what makes a soldier. A soldier isn't defined by reading books about war. A soldier is defined by drills.
Drills, repetition, practice.
Practice under pressure. And this is where the deep dive gets really practical. The source gives us a mantra to live by. Faith-ize your life, and life-ize your faith.
Faith-ize your life, and life-ize your faith. It's a bit of a tongue twister. What does that actually mean in practice?
It's all about integration. Faith-izing your life means letting your beliefs permeate the mundane, boring, stressful details of your day. It means your faith isn't kept in a box just for Sundays.
Okay.
And life-izing your faith means your spirituality shouldn't be abstract and floaty. It should look like real life. It should be visible in how you handle reality.
So let's take this out of the theoretical, because I think a lot of people struggle here. They have their church self and their work self. What does life-izing your faith look like on a Tuesday in 2026 when you're late for work?
The source suggests specific behavioral shifts. It's very granular. For example, speed.
Speed? Like driving fast.
More like just rushing through life.
Yeah.
If you're naturally a fast person, fast talker, fast walker, always in a hurry, the sign of maturity is learning to slow down. It's about controlling your pace rather than being controlled by it. It's saying, I have the discipline to be patient.
Okay. That's harder than it sounds. What else?
Temper is a big one.
Yeah.
If you used to be irritable or you were prone to verbal outbursts, maturity looks like becoming gentler. It's a shift from self-centered standards, I am annoyed, so I will yell, to tolerance and respect for others.
And the source gets delightfully specific about where this maturity is tested. It doesn't say when you face a great moral dilemma. It says parking spaces.
Yes, the ultimate test of the human spirit, failing to find a parking space.
It really is. It sounds funny, but think about the blood pressure spike. When you're circling the block for 20 minutes, you see a spot and someone just swoops in and takes it.
That moment right there is the drill. That is the gym for your spiritual muscles.
Right.
The source argues that it is easy to be holy when you're on a mountain retreat or sitting in a quiet church. But when the neighbor is making noise and you can't sleep, when the pressure of sales targets and work projects is crushing you, that is the real test.
I really appreciate that the source acknowledges the work stress. I mean, remember, we are in this booming 2026 economy. The kids are getting bonuses, but that implies they're working incredibly hard.
High stakes, high stress.
And the source is saying that pressure isn't a distraction from your spiritual life. That pressure is the practice field.
Exactly. The goal, as Pastor Who puts it, isn't to be the strange Christian at the office.
Yeah.
You know, the weirdo who speaks in King James English and judges everyone.
Right. Nobody wants to be that guy. Thou shalt not photocopy that personal document.
No. The goal is for your life to reflect your beliefs through love and wisdom in those high-pressure moments. So instead of exploding when the project timeline gets cut, you handle it with a steadiness that surprises people. That's the works wing flapping in unison with the faith wing.
Now, there is one more major shift the source calls for. And this one is about our mindset, specifically regarding how we view our role in the world. It's the shift from get to give.
This connects right back to the giant baby concept.
Right.
Babies are the ultimate get creatures. They cry, they get fed, they need, they receive.
Right.
The source notes that the immature prayer is always, God, what can you give me? Bless me, give me this promotion, give me this parking spot.
Makes my life easier.
Exactly. And the mature stance flips that script. The mature stance asks, what can I do for God's kingdom?
Oh.
It's a move from consumer to contributor.
Okay.
But there's a specific nuance here regarding professional life that I found really insightful for this audience.
You mean the part about their professional skills?
Yes. The source challenges the listeners, these high-performing professionals, not to check their brains at the church door.
I've seen this happen. You have someone who's a brilliant CFO or a master of logistics during the week. They run huge teams. Then they volunteer at a nonprofit or a church.
Yeah.
And they just fold chairs.
Or hand out bulletins.
Yeah.
Exactly. And look, there is humility in folding chairs. It's good to serve. But the source is asking, why aren't you bringing your high-level gifts to the table? If you have management skills, if you have specialized technical skills that you use to make money for your firm all week, you should be using those same high-level skills to build the spiritual family.
That's a convicting point. We give our best energy and our best skills to the marketplace, and then we give our leftovers to our higher values.
The source calls for a reintegration. Don't bifurcate your life. Use your expertise to build the kingdom. Be a soldier with your specific weapon, not just a warm body in the room.
Finally, the source talks about the weekend. Since we are looking at this specific date, January 31st, 2026, which leads into the Lunar New Year break, the strategy for time off is crucial.
The source is very balanced here. It doesn't preach burnout. It explicitly mentions the 5 days work, 2 days off rhythm. It says, go travel, enjoy the new year, rest is good.
So it's not saying work yourself to death for the cause. It's not anti-vacation.
No. But it warns against living a diary of your own making.
What does that mean, living a diary?
Think about what a diary is. It's a record of random daily occurrences. I woke up, I ate toast, I went to the beach, I slept. It's a chronicle of self-satisfaction.
Oh.
The source urges listeners to instead execute a mission.
So even the rest should have a purpose.
In a sense.
Yeah.
It means your life shouldn't just be a series of random events that you drift through. You aren't just filling pages in a diary with stuff I did. You should be writing a chapter in a bigger story. Even your rest is part of a vision given by God to recharge you for the work.
It takes the weekend from just time off to time with purpose.
Right.
That's a powerful reframing. It's about intentionality, whether it's how you handle a parking dispute, how you spend that massive 2026 bonus, or how you view your Saturday off. It's all about moving from the automatic process of aging to the intentional process of maturing.
And that really summarizes the whole message. You can be rich, successful, and well-rested and still be a spiritual baby. The growth you're looking for requires you to actually do the work.
So let's recap our journey today. We started in the booming financial world of January 2026, where bank accounts are fat, but spiritual maturity is at risk. We looked at the ancient tension between Paul and James' faith and works, and decided we need both wings to fly.
We identified the danger of being a spiritual giant baby, decades of listening but zero drilling. And we explored that login metaphor, having the credentials but not actually being online.
And we learned that real maturity happens in the grind in traffic with noisy neighbors and in how we use our professional skills for something bigger than just a paycheck.
It's a call to become a soldier of Christ who actually practices the drills, rather than a spectator who just watches the parade go by.
So here is a final thought for you to chew on as you go about your day. We talked about the login analogy. Think about all the apps and services you have accounts for. You have the username, you have the password, you might even have the premium badge next to your avatar.
But ask yourself, when it comes to your deepest values, are you actually logged in? Are you scrolling, clicking, and engaging? Or is your account just sitting dormant, collecting digital dust while you tell everyone you're a member?
It's not enough to have the account, you have to log in. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll see you next time.